Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
I passed 3-4 years after this incident, which I put a lot of my personal finance in, and before that, and many knowledge seekers helped. I said to myself, and I said, I must have been a fool financing millions and millions for the foundation. I could have bought myself a palace, I could have bought myself everything else. I put foundation and its progress ahead of my own private life. But now we see the change. Now we see the development of technology. While this session is going on, while we are teaching, one of the biggest revolutions in science ever is happening in the background. I get reports on. We are monitoring the soul of a person. I get the pictures continuously where there were two souls and they think the person is crazy or something else, but now they see there two physically is there, and we have facilities to allow it to happen. The person can see. You've never seen this. When we say, and this is knowledge, this is a game changer for many, many things. Why do we put a young person into mental institute when we don't understand? When I said there are two souls years ago, if you remember the teaching, in the same body, now we build a system which is showing it is two souls in it. I can show it to you. I've got the permission to show. You've never seen, but now humanity is saying we can even mark your soul. Once we finish with this process, I have a permission to show for knowledge to be spread on, to take up. Changes pain. His young person suffers for life because everybody thinks it's crazy. It's not. It's there. And we have the facility, we have the knowledge to allow the energy to be absorbed. We don't kill, we make one out. And it's beautiful. One day, once we finish with this process, we'll make a file of it, and I put a session the way we did with the Maghreb system. We put a session on teaching just for you to see how two souls exist in one person. And that's where the money goes. is worth more than anything in the world. When you see a person seeing, I'm not crazy, I don't have, it's there, we see it, and we can set it up for it to, and for the family to see the beauty of it. The child is perfect.
Yeah.
You understand? This is the beauty of a knowledge, not selling a Gans ball or whatever. We have to do those to get to here to understand.
Mm-hmm. I did approach the military in Australia to suggest to them that there is a solution for post-traumatic for soldiers that returned and are suffering, and they didn't really want to know. So I'm just wondering, when will they understand that what you have is a game changer and it helps a lot of people?
A knowledge seeker years ago told me, not the knowledge seeker, it's the guy who was around up now, Keshe Foundation, I believe it when it's on CNN. So we have to do enough to get on the CNN, people will believe us. But we have enough that we don't need CNN. It's just having trust in ourselves will bring that change. I always say,
Thank you.
it's good to be there. It's good to see you can change things. It's good to see we have gathered enough knowledge that we can help each other.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
And we are just another, what I call, block on the building. There's more blocks to go on top. I always say the most beautiful time for a human race comes when Mitra takes over after me. And the love within her is beyond imagination. The daughter of Mitra will bring the love of universe. And we have to let her grow in her infancy the way she is, and just monitor. And then you will see the beauty of the creation. I'm doing all the rough work, clean up and brushing humanity. She will take humanity to the Garden of Eden. And then you enjoy what life is.
Yeah, I'm just looking, it's just nice to see that there's a bright future ahead.
It is, if we strive, we will do. If we decide to do, we can do. And it's how we understand each other. That's the problem. We prefer not to understand.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 606th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 4th, 2025. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute, Education Department, and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be your host once again in this lovely series of workshops. And once again, we have Mr. Mehran Keshe as our main presenter and teacher here today. And I believe he's ready and raring to go for yet another Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Please go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning. Good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen. This is Knowledge Seekers from Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back to another session of teachings and another evolution in the science of man in a dimension of energy, that matter state. Last week, I showed you response to a question where it brings true soul and then enlightenment. During the last session, we endeavored to replicate life, how life starts from the energy point of view, and how we can dictate times of life. In a way, all of you were one cell, and we introduced another energy cell into the process. In a way, like you womb of the mother, egg and a sperm. Two dynamic energies. To see actually how life in the dimension of energy takes shapes. It's accumulation of many things which we've done with you, especially in past few weeks, and understanding of the totality, the creation of life and the energy level. In a way, we try to replicate the creation of daughter of Mitra. To understand how does this process take shape? But at the same time, we try to start from the dimension of physicality, that we create a combination of the fields in the dimension of physicality, that what it brings us to point of collectively as a soul of physicality, how we react, how we are generated. What we saw was absolutely amazing. What we observed on the Friday session was more shocking in how, man, we can literally create life, and in essence, if we create the environment of it, give it dimension of physicality. I had a pleasure to spend quite a long time this week with a scientist, researcher, who is an expert in what we call creation of life and how they can improve life. And what he said was absolutely amazing. The sentence he used brought me a shock. And when I explained to him what this means, he said, I'm shocked. He said, when we bring an egg and a sperm together, people at our level, which works in the edge of the science, I'm sure he's listening to the teaching, most probably himself, we see a spark. I said, explain. He said the time when we bring the two egg and sperm together, we see a spark. Then we know the process started. I said, you know what, how it is? Why you see a spark? And I explained to him that the spark you see is a spark of life. It's because the egg is a dynamic plasma and the sperm is a dynamic plasma. And then I explained the knowledge of creation of light as we know on this planet. We were standing in a field. I said, look, the light you see in the sky, you call it daylight, but it's interaction of the fields of the earth and the sun. When we are facing it in our position, we see the daylight. So now we see a parallel in the world of creation. When the two dynamic fields come together, create that light, that spark. He said this is something not known in common, but us as scientists who work in this field, we see it, we just call it spark. But now I understand. And I can see now what we explain is how being able to measure this spark in the future, researchers, then we can say this size, this strength of a spark is a boy. This strength of a spark is a girl. This spark with deviation could be abnormalities. And so looking for a dark and light microscopes, his discussion came to that we can now understand that there is another dimension into life, which is the energy side. And now the world of creation confirms what we in the world of plasma technology we've been explaining. It's now we have a parallel, we have an explanation. We see it in the world of creation. This brought a new dimension into the school of thoughts, understanding. But what was interesting, last week during the session, we did the same with all of you. You lot, as an energy, you are there. How many of you in the session? With us. And as you know, we are testing. We want to see conditions, what brings about. And in one of the conditions, we brought you, all the knowledge seekers, to be as one plasma. And we introduced our plasma, empowered you in the dimension of the energy, in the dimension of physicality. The strangest thing unraveled. And if you understand what is coming to be shown in the next few minutes in this morning session, you will understand there is no difference in the world of creation, from planet Earth to egg and sperm, to when we decide to interact and change. What is interesting, up to now, past thousands of years, we looked at the sky, we saw the lightning, and we heard the thunder, and then we saw a fire or lightning hitting the ground and everything else. But the new science tells us that the actual spark, actual energy to start that lightning starts from the earth. It's the energy of the earth in a very minimal, connects to the top, and in connecting, ignites, brings the soul of the planet into it, and then we see it in diversion and in conversion to become the lightning which strikes the ground. So we are the antenna. The tree is the antenna which sends the message up and it gets it back on itself. We say a man got hit by lightning, but in fact, the energy of that man at that moment, maybe he thought, I'm going to get hit by lightning, creates the right energy, and connects to, feeds to the atmosphere, and the energy balance in the dimension of the physicality hits back or connects to, and then we see it as a release of energy, the enlightenment. And then we say a man got hit by the lightning and the rest of it. So because we never understood what happened last week, and the discussion I had with this scientist confirms a lot of things that, in a way, when we introduce energy in the matter state, because you're all in energy in the matter state, the energy of the creation in the dimension of the soul, but matter state combination, the womb of this planet, this universe, become the holder of the two energies. Something very special happened. And in a way, I was waiting for a confirmation of this for 40 years. We have video recorded this, and for the first time we show it to you. So what you see today is the interaction of collective soul of you as knowledge seekers, as let's say you are the egg, and us as an energy interaction feeding into the system of all of you as a sperm. Then watch what happens. How the dimension of the soul of two leads to creation of the soul of physicality. And then like a lightning which starts from earth goes up and touches the soul of creator. And then it comes back to us. And then we get the shape. Do we stay in the soul of physicality dimension? We showed that last week with one of the knowledge seekers' question, how the two interacted. They're going to sperm, and then it went up to the soul of physicality and to the soul and enlightened. I sent a video to Rick. Rick, put a video up and you all watch step by step. This is from time zero, where we add the extra energy to the combination of energy. So we create a new life, new cycle, enlightened life. And just watch. If you have, ignore the left side. Can you just bring the light on from the beginning, Rick? Go expand it that we don't see the cross side. We just see the right side of the thing. If you can expand your screen that we don't see the green, go further back out that we only see the expansion of the right side of the screen. Can you do that? Can you hear me, Rick?
Yes, I'm just trying to make the screen a bit smaller. It's very long here. I'm not sure if I can do that. I've expanded the screen, but it doesn't give me
the light.
It doesn't give me an option.
Expand the screen on the horizon line, not on the vertical line. See if, just let's see where it goes. Anyway, we don't want to see the graph on the, concentrate on the right side.
On the right side.
What? On the right side. This is where we want to have a concentration.
Okay, I'll see if I can do that. I'm not able somehow to move it around that way. I can go up and down, but not left and right. It doesn't
Central
have
line.
bars.
Where is the green line? Where is your, go out and come back.
There it is. It was hiding. I just have to.
We need the central line.
Find it there.
Watch what comes up, and I think go out and come back. Take it off and put it back on again, and start from the beginning if you can. Don't do anything because we can miss it. Just go out of the video, stop it, and
yeah, we're back to the beginning here now. So
okay, so watch what's happening. Ignore the left side. The left side has too many explanations to go with it. The right side is the most important part. What I've got to do is I have to be able to annotate on your session. And not annotate. We used to be able to do this annotation.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can annotate on the actual video. You might have to have a still image to annotate. So if you have a particular area, I could take a screenshot.
You can highlight it. Just see if you can highlight on the video. If not, with screenshot, we'll come back to it. It's no problem. I can screenshot it if I want. No problem.
See if my annotate works. Can you see that?
Yes, I can see it.
But yours won't?
I think if you give me the... Oh yeah, I can, no problem. They've changed the feature. Let me see. Yes, I can annotate, no problem.
Okay, perfect.
Go ahead. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Now, what will be interesting, play the video and then watch. What I want you to watch, I mark it to watch. I want you to watch this area. I want to see if you see it. And then I want you to watch this area. And then in development, watch this area. Zone 1 is where we introduce energy. The energy introduced, don't forget, you lot prior to this point are connected to the system. So you have one energy. We introduce one energy, which is our system. Let's play. Watch what's happening. Just run the video, please. This is about 3 minutes. In a way, we introduce to you the condition of the egg and the sperm. And as we introduce the energy to you, just watch how this area develops. It's developing very softly in the background, but it's creating what we call the soul of the physicality with it. If you monitor here, watch the spheric, the soul of physicality is taking shape. So now we have introduced matter energy, and the soul, the energy of the collective soul is taking over. And watch what happens. I keep quiet for you to just watch this, and then we go back to it to analyze it. Run it as it is, please. This is your physicality. This is the soul of physicality. And this is the soul area. Just watch. See how soul gradually develops. If you watch it, you see repeats what we know in the world of creation. The life starts from the point of physicality, energy-wise. That's how it goes. Exactly like a thunder. And then when collectively increases, it returns back to feed itself. This video, if it's understood and analyzed in full, you will see how life created. This is why we have the egg and the sperm. We bring the egg, and a sperm together, which is the dimension of physicality. In this corner, this comes together as the strengthening collectively creates the soul of the physicality, and then it connects to universal energy through dimension of the hydrogen, and then comes back to itself. The most important thing for us is in a space. Now you see, if you can bring it, you see this matter, this environment increases. This is the part of the soul. You see it increases gradually as it feeds back to the soul of physicality and the physicality which is in this body. Gradually built up. And this is exactly what happens to us in the dimension of physicality. You can see how the soul is taking shape. If you see the dots, they come in one by one. And this explained to us, if we understand this, we decide the starting time. We decide the zero time. And the energy we put in decides the soul of physicality and what energy in the universe we connect to. And then you feed back to itself the dimension of the physicality. We put it back in a new environment, then we have the creature of that environment in that point and position. Scientifically, there'll be more research, we do more research, because we have come to understand much more. And those of you who join us tomorrow in the session, we tell you what happened to you last week. We have recorded it. We usually do the month session at the end of each month. What happened in the last session, last Friday, is so fundamental with what we've seen that we brought the session up to September to this week. So don't, any of you coming into the session, you got to be there tomorrow, 9 o'clock in the morning, we start the session. Again, is another dimension of the collection of soul of physicality, the soul of the man. And you can see how, if you look on the left side, how from the time we introduced the energy, suddenly the soul separated. Not in the dimension of physicality. And you see how consistent it stays. Where the soul of physicality and the soul of the man stay in this area. And then you see it. Totally what you see here in this line is what you see in this area. That's how we separate. And now we can confirm how even we as humans in the womb of the mother attain life, attain soul, attain energy, and then what is important for us to understand in the future, we'll do a research on this, is that the condition, the energy of the womb decides the interaction and the condition that the physicality will manifest itself. So if we have sperm and an egg of a human, and we create a condition of the womb of the mother, we get a human race on this planet according as she's here. As the mother moves in a different environment, what we call 80% energy changes. That womb will not create a human as us. It creates a human as the condition and position. Isn't this what our mothers do? If you're black, we give a birth to a child of a black. If you're Chinese, we give a birth to a Chinese-looking child, and the rest of it. Because it's preset what to do. Even we take a woman, Chinese woman from China into Africa, because the womb energy field is preset. Unless we change it to interact with the sperm or an egg of African environment energy, which then the new balance in the womb of the mother decides what that child is going to be. With this knowledge we have, we go back to time. We decide the time. We decide the energy level. We decide what would the outcome be. If we understand this, in the future research, when mankind ends up doing some proper work in this understanding, we can even see how our children will look like falling in love with another creature energy in the universe, and what that outcome be according to the space of that environment. As the children of Mitra, they cannot have physical interaction. They can give energy to each other, and the environment that interaction is given decides how the child of human in space will look. This because where we call the soul, where the energy comes from, now is dictated totality of the universal energy like us. But what changes is this: the solar physicality of the man will change, because he has interaction with the energies of the universe, and then the physicality will be decided. Then we can see, then we can decide how we can make man immortal. If you listened yesterday, there was a parade in China, President Xi and President Putin walking with each other. Putin says to President Xi about that now, don't forget, they're both 72 years old. They want to stay leader, they enjoy the leadership, so they're looking to expand their lives. You have to understand mentality behind the talk. Putin says that now we're changing organs and everything, we are still infant with changing of organs and everything else. We can live a longer time. President Xi, in a way, says, with the new, what we know now, man can live in the future 150 years. So if you're in 150 years, live, and we're in 50s and 60s, we have not become teenagers of the future. Those of you who are 20, 30 year toddlers of what is to come. But knowing this, understanding what we see now, we can change directly the energy of the environment at this point. That the soul changes, soul of physicality changes, and the interaction of the soul will be with a higher order enlightenment, knowledge for the physicality of the man at this. So what it means, our children who come in touch with the dimension of the knowledge and energies of the universe will be enlightened in a totally different way than we do as our generation, at the present time. And the research and what will come in the future will confirm. And if you understand this, in creating this environment, what we did with you lot, you're all the egg or the sperm, introduce additional energy into it, whatever you want to call it. We showed how it led to generation of the law of physicality, attain this life, and then it feeds back to itself. And what we see clearly in the other part of the research is that it creates a full, more or less, loop, as we've seen before. coming from and going back to. This, as I said to you, research and development we are watching is so amazing, is so incredible that it will bring new changes. We have moved into the process, we have moved into the knowledge of creating exact replication of the universal energies. And next step of process in the next few weeks, we show how this can affect us. We'll set up in the sessions you're in how you interact. Up to now, you didn't know how you interact with the dimension of the soul. Now we can show you, because the energies will bring in, instead of working with your physicality on this side as energy, will interact directly with your soul, directly with your point of energy and resources. And then we'll see how you as knowledge seekers will change. In enlightenment, in knowledge, in whatever you want. Maybe some of you get to the point that you touch the love of the Creator, and then we'll see what happens. This is not theories anymore, because you can see how here in this part, your soul and the soul of physical are there. The minute we introduce additional energy, we have separated your souls. Enlightenment at a higher order, but your physicality and soul of physicality stays online. Now, is it worth to start at a time with the dimension of physicality where the DNA of the man, because of the condition, emotion, or whatever of this planet, has been tampered with, modified, genetic modification to emotion, where if we deliver the pure energies at the level of the soul, at the level of the universal energies, which conversion of it and tainted of it becomes disabled children we have, mental conditions we have, aggression we have, changes, we change the man. What is interesting is, with what we know now, we can create a new condition. Would our work, our research, and what we see bring in a new dimension of work for all of us, where we as knowledge seekers go to the point, reach to the condition that we do not need to worry about how our children are going to be in the future, where we can change the energy of what we call the environment of the creation, what we suffer lack of, which makes us animals, to become peaceful creation, created, and live amongst us. So in a way, the last week research, or what you were our guinea pigs, was extremely nice for us, extremely what we call perfection in knowledge, that we can now even try to change the dimension of the emotion and bring in at the point of maturity of man through enlightenment than through anything else. We can go directly to understand the work of the creation, interaction of the souls, and then see what happens in physicality. We can display this up. That's what we have. We hope in the session tomorrow to add to the knowledge, because then it gives us the reason why man stays physical, and hopefully hopefully in the coming time, in the what we call understanding of the totality, change the dimension to something very special, something where we can bring in the play games of the understanding and diversion from the point of the energy point, understanding the work of the man as energy, and then working, trying to understand and create children of Mitra in the essence of the true creation without all the genetic modification over thousands of years, millions of years, where we come into this planet, we come into the environment of this planet as pure lights of the Creator, pure lights of the Sun. And through the dimension of the evolution of the man, our ancestors, we gain, we get modified. Genetically, our DNA changes in the dimension of emotion that leads to create an aggressive man, a killing man, and everything else which goes with it. With what we have in our hand, with what we see in research by the Keshe Foundation, it's amazing to understand that now, with the knowledge we have, and you lot have been with it, we have seen the progress from us producing, introducing energy of the physicality to the soul, of physicality to the soul of the man. And in the coming weeks, we enlighten you and see how the true daughters of Mitra will be generated. This puts an end with what we've seen and what we have to the fallacy of the virgin birth. Because now we understand the birth of a child is the purity of the child, which was the soul of Christ. His soul was created from a pure, which is the purity of the soul of the creator of the universe, and embedded in the physicality of the man. It could have been any man, any woman, and in a way, the virgin birth comes from the dimension of the soul, not in the dimension of physicality. And if you understand this, and we can extend this knowledge with a newness which is coming out, many of you participating in it, we can change the course of humanity now with the knowledge we have and we are gaining directly through the systems. Man gives you through the satellites, telephone connections, and whatever, internet, through the connection of system from Earth. That's where the shortage was. We give man that energy, which elevates the man to the soul and dimension of change of world peace. Man shall never kill, because now we understand how through the systems we can feed you. You look for a coin and look for a coin of peace. And this is how these things will go. All these things which is getting a structure is making man ready for the next step, because the knowledge of the energy is with us. Knowledge of bringing man to the point is with us. And then we can create man which shall not kill, is not within the structure of his DNA, as has been adjusted, adopted, modified through the emotion of hunger, to emotion of greed, through the emotion of everything else. Tomorrow's session will be the most amazing sessions we've done with man. Tomorrow's session will be the proof of the writings of the prophets. I will show you next week. I would like to see that can be done. And the following week, we add another dimension to it, that you see how you are. The time is in our hand, because now we are changing the time. And this is what it is. We added energy factor, which changes what we discussed for time. Creation of the initial stage of interaction to creation of the soul to feed back takes months or weeks. With this understanding, what will be interesting, as I said to the scientists, very simply, is that now we have this knowledge. Now we can interfere with the energies of time. Can we change the time? Do we need to have a mother to be pregnant for 9 months, where we can increase the energy to be enlightened and reduce it to 3 months? Isn't this what the animals do according to the energy they produce? How come an egg in 21 days matures? Man takes 9 months. Isn't it because the yolk within the center of the dynamic pressures and the purity of the white of the egg allows conversion much rapidly than when it's the womb of the mother? The emotion comes, the father's anger comes, the joy of another brother comes, and this brings that change. Do we see? Do we now understand the next phase? That it brings that change. It brings for us to understand that we can change the man. But in reality, if you go back, we've seen this before. Now you understand. In Inner Mongolia, they grew the seed for 100 days. Wheat, rice, and everything else. We went in, we changed the environment. Wheat, which was supposed to grow 140 days, it matured in 127 days. Where in the standardization of the knowledge of the man, the what we call protein was between 11 to 12%, increased to 20%, the maximum enlightened full maturity. We didn't increase the size of the rice, we didn't, or wheat, or we didn't change the number. It was already floured, we couldn't change, it was fixed. The only thing we did, we delivered energy that increased the protein, the enlightenment, and then the weight change. The number of grains is the same. So we shortened their life by 10 days in 36, 40 days cycle. We saw the same thing with the rice. We saw the same thing with the others. Now we see, we can explain for sure, if man decides to interfere with the cycle of the birth, with adding the energy structure to it, we can do. Isn't this why some of us are born 7 months, 8 months, 9 months? It's the soul which matures. Physicality is not ready for. With this knowledge, with this technology, we can mature the soul and the energy together that you don't need 9 months pregnancy. We've seen it in agriculture. We will see it in the world of the womb, or what we call embryos of the animals. In the next few weeks, months, the research is already going to get pushed through. If it takes 9 months for the embryo to be completed, and we change the environment and complete in 6 months, fully mature, grown, do we need that time? What this means is it's another dimension which it'll be interesting. When I was talking to this researcher, it was maybe 7, 8 hours. It went in maybe a few minutes. The knowledge which was received, the knowledge which was gained, the understanding of it was amazing. They have a problem when they take the embryo, they have to slice something off it. And then they see the pain in the embryo. There's a damage. You're taking the arm, you're taking the eye. I said, with what we see, or put a picture of the brain of Naomi on the table, says we can reduce it, we can produce it, that the child does not suffer. We don't need to touch the embryo. We can take the fluid from the feedback and decide if it's going to be a boy or a girl. We do not need to harm it. And even if we do, with this process, we can increase what we call the repair. There'll be no damage. In a way, we've gone into the animal trials. And then it takes very few hours. Very soon we'll set up this structure to go through. And then we will see the interaction of the soul of the man, the physicality of the man, the interaction of how we can change the time, our time in what we call conception in the womb of the mother to the time of the birth, 9 months. Would that reduce? Would we create the most intelligent creatures without even actually ever having a father and a mother? Do we need the embryo? Or do we need to get the energies off to deliver off? As we expect this to be for the man in the space. How we start playing with the time, with the dimension of time, and how we start changing, now we understand this much. That word, spark, so seen in the interaction of the egg and the sperm, is the reality of life. We call it the daylight. Can we bring the change? Can we go in to change the defects in the sperm and egg? And can we reduce the time of birth? Would the dimension of the birth of the children of the universe in interaction with the man of creatures of this planet will give birth to the dimension of physicality of the woman from the earth of 9 months? Will be half an hour, 1 day, 2 days, or whatever. The knowledge is there. We have achieved the knowledge. We understand the knowledge. And in a coming time, we deliver the knowledge because now it can be measured. It is sequential. It is totality of what we understand about our own creation. So by adding an extra energy in the dimension of your energies, you've seen how fast within 3 minutes we have gone from what we call the soul, the physicality of the man, to the dimension of the soul of the man. And this can be repeated anywhere in the universe. If you look at the video, what's in front of you, recording of the session, from here to creating the soul is about less than a minute. The same process, there's a discussion in the world of the creation. When is, how long does it take for whatever is in the womb of the mother to attain soul, and it's a living thing. Now with this knowledge, with what we understand, and what is to come in the future of the science of the energy, what we call cosmic ray, there'll be huge changes. There'll be massive changes that we will understand. And what we saw last week and how we interacted with your hundreds of thousands of you online, and we created that soul of physicality, we created that soul. With this knowledge comes one thing. Would we be able to create children which are perfect in soul and perfect in physicality? With the knowledge we see today, we have to fiddle with the energy we put inside. which we are doing now, this session up to now, all of you have been, as you know by now, in it. If you look in the dimension of the panelist, you're connected to 3 systems, creating that connection. Hopefully, we study what we done to you today or what you gain from us today. We discuss it next week. This knowledge is so fast that it has to be to enlighten other scientists who are here to start the process, to understand. And if you don't understand today, in the future, the scientists who understand this will do research on it to develop it, to understand it more, because we have reached a dimension of maturity of knowledge that we can play with the energies than the physicality. If we can measure the energy of a love between man and a woman, we don't need the sperm of the man and the woman. We can take that from the soul and create and place that in the womb of the mother to create a perfect child, because the soul is perfect. It's the physicality which is gathered and changed. What do we call this gathering? There is a something missing. One of the genes is affected. Actually, the gene itself is energy. Why did the gene affect? Because mother had an effect. So that defect has become the child's defect. When you create a perfect soul, physicality cannot touch. There will be no child born, one eye missing, half a brain now, intellectually not, a leg short, hand too long, and everything else which we call it genetic problem. When we create a pure soul, physical DNA genetic has no effect on it. The question for me is, can we interact the energy with those who are defect today, mentally not mature, physically short in something or long in something, or defects of the skin? Do we need operations? Do we need, God knows, chemicals to change the color of our skin, to get the longer leg, bigger head, or whatever, or change our colors of the skin, where we can understand the energy fields of the emotion, feel it at a given time, and change everything? This is possible. We know it's possible because it goes back to the research we did some 18, 20 years ago, more or less now, where we grew the toe. The knowledge we grew the toe in Belgium in 2004, 2005, now can be done instantaneously, because now we know even how to create this, the soul of physicality, which leads to the creation of that toe, that we get a perfect child, perfect toe. Not to wait for months to grow instantaneously, because we can transfer and connect everything together. The realm of the plasma cosmic ray technology is on the verge of being able to do this. In the coming weeks, we'll go into the laboratories for the first time to change the embryo through the interaction of the fields. The research is ongoing. We just come into it, to add to it, to work with it, and to see how it does. Can it be done? Can it be affected, and can it be directed to the point where we decide the time? Because now we can change the emotion, or we can bring the enlightenment at the higher order, that it changes the time of life. Shorter time of pregnancy, much more mature, enlightened children, and those who have no time for them to die. And it makes the discussion between the two world leaders of hoping 150 years to 150,000 years. But because we tap into the universal energy, to the cosmic rays, this, in the dimension of physicality of the man, is connected to its environment according to the energy of this planet. We created a child from the dimension of the soul of the universe, which has access to what is in the universe. Physicality will last billions of years. I made man in the image of myself, as I've been there from the beginning to the end. Today shall be you as a soul. It cannot be, I give you what I like, the rest I keep. What is me is you, and what is you becomes me. Interesting. Now we have the knowledge. Now we have the technology to apply the knowledge, and now we have to see how this knowledge, in the coming time in the future, when governments have more money to spend on understanding creation of the man than killing the man, will bring us. Go for a break and we come back. Try to answer some of your questions, but I hope you can see the future is bright. And hopefully when we have the dimension of the systems which are getting more or less distributed in the next few weeks, through you to be able to bring the change. To bring, instead of raining from the top, raining from under to correct the top, which is the soul of the man and his aggression of the man. We go for a break and we come back, and hopefully you get enlightened something.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. As he said, we will take a short break and be back with the second part of our show. And that's when people here as attendees in the Zoom have an opportunity to ask questions. Just put up your virtual hand and then we can acknowledge you and open your microphone. Those in the YouTube, you can post a question and we can ask it here, and you can also in the Zoom post questions, preferably in the Q&A or in the chat. Okay, we'll be right back.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
Okay, we're back again at the 606th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 4th, 2025. And because it's the second half, as I mentioned, there will be an opportunity to ask questions. But before that, Mr. Keshe has a few things he would like to say, I believe. Please go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, thank you very much. Just 1 second, please. Just 1 second. Something that we are 100% correct. Yes. Thank you very much. As you know, we brought the session of September to tomorrow. It will start at 9 o'clock. Those of you who registered, please, or you're registering, please complete it by today. And try to come in tomorrow with whatever you like, the way you like. Whatever pleases you. With any intention you have. Because we want to understand the next cycle of the progress as we watched you last week, what happened, and how we will progress in the completion of our systems, which is part of you helping us to do and completing it. There are a number of knowledge seekers who made what you call donations for systems to be given to others. We have started the process and we'll let you know who gets what, and it's your decision what to do with it. And it's the responsibility of the ones who receive the units to bring it into operation and working at all time for next decades, whatever it takes, and it lasts. The whole process will go under what we call testing by next week from physical units in different locations, in 2 or 3 locations, that we can test that to iron out the last phases of it. And we hopefully by October, we start releasing these units to you. Please make sure when you receive your unit, just plug it in and we tell you what to do with it. And the main reason and the first part of to make this system running very fast and for us to be able to do a lot of work is you have to understand this is a game, enlightenment game. So you can, or we bring other people to play the game. We increase the number of players to, as our people think, about 100,000. The system will become automatic on itself. And the game is, in a way, entices you to understand the process of the enlightenment. But with the knowledge we have today, on top of the digital information which you receive to use your card, you or use your coin, or you play to gain something that it gives you a bit of a coin, we will add into it with the technology we developed. the essence of enlightenment. So you get as normal system gathering, collecting whatever you do in the game, but not only you receive the what we call dividends on your play. If you're successful, you get so much of a bit of a coin, and then you can get so much coin. With the other parts which we add to it from the technology of the Keshe Foundation, you receive that bit of enlightenment as energy. So it's the first time, in a way, a system with a soul. You buy a computer, you connect it, has nothing. That's what it is. With what we developed and what has been designed in the design, in the actual, what we call printed circuit of the physicality, is adding that dimension of energy of the soul, the universal energy. And in that process, the two will work together in a way that what we add to it as an energy of this, what we call extra energy, with the interaction of the system with itself, will create a dimension of physicality, the soul of physicality and the soul, where we feed, and then you as knowledge seekers, as the players of the game, not only receive the coin extra, but you receive enlightenment as energy. And we would like to see how this fast goes. This way, I ask those of you who promised that you take so much or you pay for so many, please complete it, that we can get this completed as fast as possible. To what you committed, and we worked on what you promised to complete our side. Then what you will receive, most probably, the first batch of you in October, when you receive your units, understand that you become the first stage of this system to increase the number of players, and then increase the number of the units, and then we become to the point that we become our own structure of the work. We don't need other things because we're all linked together. At the moment you need the internet connection, but when we connect, as you saw even in today's teaching, we connect through our system to your system, through our cosmic ray structure, then in a way we elevate the soul of the man. Even the man has a physical dimension of bottom up and the top to bottom, which never worked with man. If it would have worked, man would have received enough energy from the universe that it will not kill. So we're going the other way from the source, the essence of its creation, to do it. So please understand, when you receive these units, just follow the instruction. You receive 2 packages. The first package is your system. You get the instruction what to do. Everything is pre-programmed inside as much as we can do. And then you receive a second package which just connect to the first package. And then you create a live interactive in the dimension of energy, and the system in the dimension of physicality. And then we'll see the change, because these units will go across this planet. So it'll cover everything possible. It's not that we go through satellites and we don't need satellites and we don't need to do other things. This way goes directly connecting cosmic. Every field of this planet Earth moves, it touches the system. Every single ray in the universe connects to the system. And then you understand the process of the, what we call the elevation of the soul of the man through the physical game of the man. Our developer and does developing the physical side to play the game, to get a coin. We play the same game through the same system, but elevating the soul of the man. And when we asked manufacturers that we need a second bit connected to it, they were puzzled, why do you need 2? But that you have a antenna of the man to the systems, to your Wi-Fi. This way we connect it to the systems, which you have seen remotely can connect. You use internet, you use phone, you saw how it comes. Enlightenment, man of the peace. But as he spreads across this planet, the dog, the cat, the man, the king, the peasant, all receive the dimension of the love and maturity. The test tomorrow is part of this. We don't tell you what we're going to do tomorrow to you, but you will tell us how you feel. And then we tick mark. We may have 2 sessions in September, because once we set, we want to complete. Then we'll go for another dimension with it. And then we see what will come and how you as knowledge seekers bring that process much closer. You got to remember, the cash coin, we have to tell you, keep on telling you, is inside the structure of the part of the what we call Keshe Foundation. And when in the future we bring it to public, that's in public, but it is part of the structure of the Keshe Foundation, inside the structure, valid within the Keshe Foundation. And as long as there is someone to take your coin for what you want, till we add the other dimensions into it, then you can do the exchange and the rest of it. It's got to be very clear how we will bring this knowledge. As I said, whatever we do, what I explained, you have the system, we add our system to it to bring that advantage. It's a pattern of work. We use the pattern office to produce a pattern to get the knowledge right across this planet we could get, but we never complete the plan, because the objective of the whole thing was to share the knowledge that everybody gets, irrespective of place and position. It didn't become elite. It became public for all of us. And so it'll be the same pattern, the same way. One thing I ask you is, when you get enlightened to any dimension, don't become arrogant of the enlightenment. Become humble in what you have received. And your thoughts will not go higher than what we want, what we wish, and see yourself different. Because at the end of it, what you gain, what you think you're arrogant about, the knowledge you gain, is the knowledge we gave you. Otherwise, it would have been zero. Enlightenment comes from the light, not from the darkness of the soul of them. Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. I will remind our attendees you can raise your virtual hand and we can acknowledge you, and we have 1, 2, no, back to 1 attendee here with the hand up. Our Thomas, go ahead, please.
Maybe it's a mistake.
Or Thomas. Okay, well, we'll go back to our Q&A then. Oh, we got an open microphone now. Go ahead.
Hello, hello.
Ah, we hear you now.
Very, very good. Thank you very much. Mr. Keshe, I have a question regarding our DNA. Our DNA is presently looked at as a double strand, and actually, if I listen to different people who are, in our view, enlightened, they tell us that actually that what we call chunk DNA, that this is actually the rest of what should be 12-strand DNA. What do you think with regard to this 12-strand DNA?
I'm not the man of science in that way, so I cannot tell you. Is it 12, 14, or 16? But what we see, the process which we actually developing ourselves, according to what we understand, that you have to monitor how the fields of the universe interact. And why, if you call it the 12Na, does it have to do anything with carbon? Or does it have to do with other factors? We are not in that field, so I prefer not to, try to explain something which I have no knowledge of or no expertise to be in this. But what we see, the if you've seen in production of materials, we produce gold, but we create the condition of the energy of the gold. Once we create the energy, the cluster of the fields to create it has come together to be able to transfer that energy to the matter. What I always think about when I see these materials being made, like what we show in China in May, the gold you mine from the earth is a matter state with the emotion of the earth. The gold we produce carries the emotion of the man who puts it, or emotional collective energy of the emotion of the people in that space where it's created. So it's a matter with emotion. And the gold from this production is very different than the gold which is physical. So it has a different strand of energy, different dimension of energy, and different, what I call, essence of it. When you touch the materials like this, it has a different feel, a different touch than when you touch the matter state of the same thing. It brings calmness, it brings satisfaction of the soul, and not the satisfaction of the holding and possessing something precious. Would that affect the dimensional strength of what you call strands of? Would it affect the setting up of whatever? Needs to be understood by those who understand and see what it changes in it. But for fact, we know, because we have tested this, we know that for fact, the creation and dimension of the new fields affects the genetic, the structure of the genes, the position, the dysfunctioning, the, what you call, deformalities. But if you go into connected, you have to speak to the expert. I'm not in that field. Never wanted to be in that field.
Okay, very good.
I have to warn you about something which is possible. Could be, we foresee, we don't foresee, we have the knowledge of one of the largest wars in the history of the man between the religions on the cover of greed, the same as what we call whatever, might take place in the coming days. We are not sure, or we know we've been told, the knowledge we have at hand is, do not be surprised if man, through the greed and the weakness run itself into a massive problem in the coming days and weeks. The ideology of the man, by the cover of religion, brings the foolishness of man by understanding the totality of the position of the man. And as I said, in the name of God, they create a war, and that has nothing to do with God, except the greed of the man. And if this happens in the coming days, just be strong enough to stand it, as we'll monitor, we'll watch, and we have moved in a safe position not to be part of it. In the West, man might see harshness. In the Middle East, we might see annihilation of races. And in the other side of the work of the humanity, we might see a new change, a new beginning. We hope it will not take place, but there are some indications that we are moving in that path. But if it happens, stay strong in what you believe in and stay strong in what it needs to be done. And in the process, we might lose some of you in the dimension of physicality, but be strong enough to understand the soul of the man has moved in a different dimension and direction through the name of the God, which had nothing to do with God. We foresee one of the harshest wars in the recent past history of man, if it happens. And those who are in it believe in it, and they are doing it according to their belief. And we have to see what happened, and we wait to see if this takes place on Saturday and Sunday. And if not, we watch the operation of the rest. Any other questions?
Mr. Keshe, can I say something to it? You once said, my wish is my command. Is there any way, or is it helpful if we, all the knowledge seekers, if we concentrate us on peace, and would this in some way, maybe a little bit, help that any of these wars which are prepared by, how shall I call them, people who have the destruction rather than peace in their mind, would this be of any help?
A lot has been done, a lot needs to be done, and of course it is. You got to understand, we saw yesterday in Beijing the structure of how things have become, which we saw in 1980s, where we saw the communists. Then you had was on the communism and the West, the Cold War. Now we see an active war using the same, what we call, group of people. You saw the frontline Putin, President Xi of China, and head of North Korea. If you notice, I always say, look at the body language, look at how things are, is we decide the future. We are the players. For years, man fought the communism in the West. They were the biggest devils they had to tame. And now, even though you call Russian democracy and Chinese democracy, but it's actually in the background, they're all the same leaders. It's the war between the communists or the new world with a lot of power in the kind of communists fighting the what we call capitalists. That's all it is. It's just been polished a little bit different way. It looks different. When you look at the weapons yesterday was shown by the Chinese, it's amazing. When you look at the way the world leaders were placed to be, as you know, we always analyze these things, is amazing. How world leaders were positioned and how they were added or placed in the places to show the ones we don't want to do much, but they're here for us because we want them to be here to be part of us, to show they're part of us. We saw 26, 28 world leaders all gathered here under one roof, one place, for the show of the man's military power, how he can kill. Nothing else. I said to myself while I was watching it, when would it be that we'll have these marches? We'll have display of power, but instead of soldiers and the guns, we bring scientists who show march on. We saw the naval forces, we saw the ground forces, we saw the new forces that they brought out who can do what you call drone forces, and the other forces will bring marching plasma physicists, nuclear physicists, cosmic ray physicists, doctors who work with the universal energy. And then we were proud of showing guns and missiles, systems which allows the other, we are that much advanced. And so instead of showing the march of what we call guns and killing, show the march of technology, science and peace. That will be the time when man matures. Not hiding behind patterns and stealing from each other to make a better system that we are better than you in killing. Look at the B-2s, the B-2s which Americans were so proud of. If you look at the statistic of it, it's amazing. The statistic of B-52 and what we call the Chinese new version of 20, which was shown yesterday, is carbon copy. We take your knowledge, we make it better. B2 costs 2 billion for the American taxpayer. It costs 1 billion for the Chinese. Higher speed, lower cost, bigger payload to kill, more smoother, and the rest of it. And we stole technology from each other to be better in killing. When will it come that we stole technology from ourselves to give to the others, that will get a better world? When I sat down and watched the parade in Beijing, watched the arms and the new weapons, I said, this is the last time man will show these things. Because next time, man needs to show how he improved, not how he got better killing machines. But this time, what we see, as usual, the war we see in Ukraine is Catholics against another sect of religion, and the money mix. We see Jews against Muslims, and the money mix. When we saw last week, fully loaded 40 tons of arms, weapons, bombs, which was sent by the government of United Arab Emirates to the Israelis to kill more Palestinians, has brought shame. It depends whose religion, which is money, pays more, for what reason. Christians are killing each other in the fields of Ukraine. Muslims are paying the Jews to kill the Muslims in Palestine. 40 tons of more advanced weapons developed in conjunction with under the research with the United Arab Emirates flown into Israel to kill the Palestinians. It's not just the Christians killing each other. Muslims are at it too. But the intermediary let somebody else get blamed for it. It's a war of religions. If the Muslims can kill each other, pay for us to kill them, why should we get our hands? And this will come to an end. The war we foresee in the coming time, days and weeks to come, will bring a lot of end to a lot of this religious and the end and beginning of a lot of peace. According to the Jewish books and according to the Islamic books, what we call the day of judgment, where one wins over another, is tomorrow and Saturday. We'll see. This is from scripts in the holy books. They both believe in it. They're ready to slaughter each other for it. Just watch the screen. Watch what happens in the next few months or weeks in that part of the world. And at the end, who's going to benefit by it? And at the end, who's going to get more of nothing of it? According to the holy books, the Jews and the Muslims, this weekend, this coming few days till October, is the time of the end of judgment and coming of Mahdi after it. Watch. If what we call the promises, or what we call what's supposed to be will be. If it happens tomorrow, on a Friday, on a Saturday, don't say you haven't heard of it. It's not them doing it, they're doing it in the name of the God, because in their scriptures, this next 3-4 weeks is the time of one winning the other, and one become the ruler of the whole lot, and then there's not a lot left because the ex-communists have taken it all. So let them play and watch them how they slaughter each other. When you have no religion, you can't take sides, just get the benefit. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Well, we had a question from the Brazilian community about the voucher from the mystery package. It says, does it need to be used this Friday, or can it be used for the October flight?
You better use it, because we might not have any more sessions. Those of you who receive these vouchers, you better cash it in. Register. You never know. And if they kill each other next week, there will be no sacrifice for you not to have another session. But seriously, yes, please do. Thank you very much for bringing that up, because I was asked, please use your vouchers, because October session could become the second part of the September session. The development and what we see is so rapid, as you saw it yourself today, that we need to complete this before these units put out the what do you call the communication units, which is out to go out with that, and then it goes back very, very fast. Please, those of you who placed the order, you were promised I'll do something, complete it, because we have to complete our other sides of the programming and the rest of it. that we have all the systems ready to be going, that we cover our numbers for security of it. As that's where you play the games. And as the more we have, the less the possibility of the damage. Any other question?
From Guillaume in Q&A, translated from the French, says, hello, Mr. Keshe. You said that one understands the teaching according to one's intelligence, and that when a person achieves knowledge, everyone understands it too. What can we say about intelligence at this time?
Very, very intelligent, which is mixed with the greed. Intelligence, we are very into. We become much more intelligent. Actually, we become more physically intelligent than understanding the universal knowledge. Our ancestors, thousands of years ago, they're more intelligent than us because they understood the work of the universe. The further we have come down the human race, we become more materialistic. We don't understand the rest except material one. That's the difference. We have narrow-minded ourselves into the matter state where they could understand. They understood the whole work of the universe, how galaxies work. They build systems that replicate them. And now we are more interested how to make a microchip, how to make this, how to make physically that, and what we do with the apple and how we can cheat on the orange. It's interesting how, as the man goes further down the line, more and more materialistic becomes the. You got to understand, it's very, very, very interesting. In 1950s, 60s, 70s, there was a nuclear physicist. If you were educated in the world of the nuclear, like us, our teachers, our professors tried to keep us away from knowing this man. It's amazing, man. And his philosophy was that nuclear material doesn't kill. It's the same as they made fossil fuel. Comes from the dinosaurs. He had a habit, and when we saw his videos when we were at the university or earlier time, he actually used to put nuclear material in his hand and eat it, physically swallow it. So it doesn't do. It's what happens with the condition it creates a kill. It's another matter, and how our body is connected to it. So it brought us a lot of understanding in those days. They would tell us, don't touch, don't do this, and you have the curiosity of the man with a bunch of kids. A lot of people try to do things and touch things. And if you go back to our ancestors, we have sections, we have parts, caves, which are in the uranium mines, the nuclear material mines of today we are afraid of. People lived in these mines. It was their home. How come they're not dead? How come that brace is not there? The way we bring it together to make a weapon out of it become what it is now. Our ancestors were much, much intelligent than us, because they understood the work of the universe. Our recent ancestors became matter bound, tied, and they're trapped into what it is. They are caught in the ground, they can't change it. when you mix blood with money, you get the worst race on this planet. And we've seen it. And we know what they do. Wrong blood, wrong money, and what we call wealth. Then you see what happens. When the Spanish won Spain from the Muslims, the time of the guy who founded the United States, the first thing they did was very simple. Holland, and now which is part of the Belgium, was part of Spain. That's where they brought all the spices when they came in. The spices didn't go to Spain. The spices went to north of Europe, which they could make a lot of money out of. And so it was easy to distribute between the other countries of the Europe and Western Europe, Eastern Europe. What the first thing they did, they deported, they literally put all the Jews and all the Muslims on ships and they sent them to Holland. They said, these two are the creator of wars. These two blood creates all the mayhems in the world. So they put all the Muslims there and all the Jews on the ships, shipped them to their northern country, which is now it's called Netherlands, northern part of Spain. And when these two got together, they created a structure which became the biggest, most powerful economical system, financial system together. Jews and the Muslims worked so close in Holland with each other, who were kicked out of Spain, that they brought the 100 years of glory of Holland. All the British and the rest made warships. These guys made spices ships, and they literally opened the first company, the first shareholding and the rest of it. And the combination worked very well. Till the British got between the Muslims and the Jews and the mayhem of the religions. Read about the life of Holland. The glory time of Holland was where the Jews and the Muslims were put in the same pot. That's how all the conquering came and all the way. So, but the Jews always, when it got to the money, the greed of their blood came to kill. And then we see the downfall and then the way the British went after them and the rest. And then you understand, is the greed of the man more materialistic than would have gone to our ancestors' time to understand the work of their creation, then you most probably understand how pyramid was made, how all these achievements of science was made, even with no tools and no communications. What is interesting, one point, why do we have pyramids about the same time around this planet? Did the people go, or did they have the knowledge to connect intellectually with each other through the soul? One day I answer this question. Any other question?
All right, in our Q&A from Maurizio, who says, good morning, everyone, and thank you to Mr. Keshe and everyone who makes this possible. Thank you so much. I was wondering if, even without the volume, the teachings still transmit the cosmic rays present in the latest teachings.
We keep on telling in the sessions, Friday sessions, because somebody falls asleep, the microphone is up. Just put your microphone off, shut. just enough to transmit. And even if you shout, it can do. I tell you what, just watch. You're lucky to ask that question. I'm going to answer you one. Because I've got so many systems around me. This is you lot. This is you knowledge seekers. Today, at the beginning of the session, let me show you. Let me show you, because I have to do a lot of things in the background with it before I can show you. As usual, gonna have a cup of tea till I do it, and then you'll watch it. It's amazing. You're asking a question, and you have to see what you lot done today. I have to save some images and then share images. I'm going on the sequence of I have received, what I've received, that you understand. How you lot connected to us without us being connected to you in the system. It's easier to do it this way. We always wondered how we connect with you lot. And then you see how we connect. It's very interesting. The data from you, knowledge seekers today, that how you connect to us before, during, and after. Okay. I have enough to share with you, and then we go back and we share something else if we did. Done. Join. You have to excuse my noise for a bit.
Recording in progress.
This is what I'm going to show you. This is, if I can go on the step-by-step of the system. And yes. You see, this is you lot before we connect. And look at the image. Shut down image more or less. And look what happens when you are straight connected. Just Rick starts talking. Intention of starting the session. And we see how it is before and after. There's nothing much. You've just got the normal spreadic. And then you see how the system frequencies changes, the gap changes. And then you watch, this is the time when we added our material into it. Because you lot have been, we don't need to inject you with things, we just bring things and see what happened to you lot. You go total shutdown. It's very interesting how you react without connecting to us, just by thoughts. And then when you connect to us, and then when system runs mayhem on its own, for its own dimension, you see how the soul spreads. The test today was to not to energize you or get you to a position what we're looking for, is to see how your energy spreads and what we need to bring it together like last time. You see, last time, this time we're working on the dimension of physicality. You see all your soul levels, which is green, is below the line. Your physicality is taking control. Your physicality has dimension too. You remember the picture of the one I showed you from last week, because we set on you, the soul was going like this. And now you're below line. It means the physicality and solar physicality, this is what we planned, we wanted to see, we can control both ways, is on operation. It's very interesting for us to see, and then you see the dimension. Central column, it's very centralized. You have your, what I call the, I have to bring this up, I can take it out of the zone. You have the physical dimension, you have the energy dimension. No, and if you look, it's in one column. The purpose of today, what we set everything up, was to see how we can dilute everything that we can ship instead of working with a high concentration of physicality. And it seems that we are pretty good. We got it pretty right. And then tomorrow, I want to see what I can do with you or not. And what will be the outcome? How we do things and see what the effect will be and what you respond, that we can set the system. Because sorry, I have to answer. Oh, going to the background. Sorry about this. Okay. So we understand a lot. If you remember, a few weeks ago we gave you the orange, the lavender, and everything else. We tested your physicality, the emotion, the physicality. Last week we tested you as energy levels. And now we looked at it. If you take the physicality away and dimension of energies which has no material dimension to it, and then add emotion to it, and we see the reaction, contentment, but in a dimension of 2 levels. Next week's session we will introduce hopefully a new dimension in cosmic rays, and then I'm sure a lot of you will be touched by it in a very, very positive way. Of course, if the world leaders don't kill us by then. Any other questions?
I'm wondering if they're world leaders or world losers. In any case, they're the ones making the decisions.
Yes, I presume so, but on the other hand, the process of the world leaders and their assessment of the work is literally put to a corner which they have nowhere to go. They brought this condition onto themselves, or is it the destiny of man? It's a combination of things bringing that equality that the man needs to move into the next phase. And everything else is the outcome of this. What we see is actually what it has to be to reach that point. Even will create a lot of mayhem and whatever for a lot of others. We see Africa going back to power of equality. We see French speaking taking charge of their lives because French literally, very nice people, sorry about that, French knowledge seekers, but the government of France past decades and centuries drained African nations, took everything from them, gave them nothing, and now that they gain 5 million per minute, is the losses of a nation cannot support, has come into operation. We see it now. The biggest problem is British are hoping that the British colonies won't follow the Africans. We saw 3 nations. Last week we saw Senegal turning back on France, which means now British had a different approach of colonialism, that they get more freedom, but they took everything from under in a different way. If the British colonies turn back on African position, what they were forced to in past centuries to accept, then we will see massive changes in Europe, because the European luxury lifestyle cannot exist. It lived on stolen gold and everything else from Africa and the rest. We see China coming up as another power. We see South Americans are standing in support of trying to get equal balance with what they get from the Chinese and East than from what the West has done to them. We see a lot of changes, and it'll bring equality at the end of it. They might like to make it really everybody is wrong with everybody else except the Western world, but actually the Western world has brought it to themselves, made it wrong for themselves, and the rest are trying to bring the balance into operation. You can imagine in 3 years, one man has brought so much wealth into a country from actually stop stealing from. The Burkina Faso president, all it is he didn't go to rob, he says, I stopped the stealing from us, and in stop stealing, now I have to spend. They opened 19 more advanced hospitals. In the last 2 weeks, they didn't hardly have any hospital for 78 years of the colonization of whatever was freedom. The whole of country has 3,500 roads barely physically drivable, 60, 70 years of what they call being freed. And they built 3,500 a year now in past 2 or 3 years roads. Where did the money go? Why did we go to that way? And we see a lot of these examples. And it's time for humanity to become balanced, and then it's time for a lot of other things to move forward too. World peace come when there is peace everywhere in all aspects, and it's that dimension we go. And it's a wish of us as humanity, we want world peace. But when you have a world peace, there is bits needs to be adjusted to create it doesn't fall off the sky. It takes time.
Okay, thank you. We have a comment and question in the chat in Italian, and it goes in English. My name is Adele, and I'd like to tell you about an experience I recently had with Mr. Keshe, who was giving one of his extraordinary lectures, during which cosmic rays always seem to have an exceptionally beneficial effect. A few days ago, I had strange pains in my fingers that were bothering me a lot, especially when doing housework, and a strange and unbearable depression. I was gripped by a general malaise that I couldn't shake. Recently, my friend Dolores, whom I trust very much and who has been following Mr. Keshe for years, after my repeated complaints, strongly urged me to listen to his recordings, even though I don't understand English. So I followed her advice. I must say that the night after listening for the first time, even though I slept little, I woke up early, full of energy. The depression and the pain in my fingers were gone. Even my cats, who had been treated in vain for a long time because they were plagued by colds and bronchitis, immediately improved. I'm grateful to my dear friend Dolores for her suggestion to rely on cosmic rays, and to Mr. Keshe, who cares about improving our lives. Thank you so much. So I guess there wasn't really a question there, but it's a nice comment. Perhaps you have the answer to the question that I've had.
No, it's just that enlightenment brings peace, and the peace brings healing. That's all it is. And depends what we want to heal, and what is the problem we see. We need we always look at the cup half empty. If we look at the cup half full, we find different answers. This is one of the biggest problems. Hope is the biggest thing, but putting strength into the hope makes it reality. It's literally working the lines, working the following what it needs to be done in the way it has to be done, and that's all it is. We got to learn to mix the physical with the energy and give it that energy that it makes it the position of reality. If the wish is there, it will happen. And you have to put the physical side to the wish of it. Protection. A guy, truck driver, olden days, years ago. Goes to see somebody he believed in. And he says to him, what is your wish? That you come to see me. He says, I want to be the richest man in my nation and in the world. He says, if that's your wish, it's granted. You grant it to yourself. In less than 10 years, he became one of the richest. From a single truck driver. And he promised that if I become rich, I never forget you. I'll protect you and your wishes. And he did. I know the man. I watched the man. And he always said it wasn't the wish, it was the confidence given to me about myself, which brought the change. And this is what we need. We have to have confidence in what we wish, what we believe in, and just a wish, give it the energy, and we achieve it. As we always said, my wish is my command, because if you wish it, and you put the energy to it, it will manifest itself. But it's not going to happen tomorrow. Sometimes it does happen tomorrow. But you have to watch, you have to understand, and you have to comprehend the situation. How, why, the reason, and what will be the outcome, what I need to do to catch it, to be there, to be part of it. You hear about a lot of people in the news, in the stories. This man, when he was on the street, he saw something, he saw a business opportunity, and he wanted some money to pay for it there and then. He walks into the bank, asks for a piece of paper. He says, "This much cash I want," and he signs for it. Gives it to the cashier. Cashier says, "You're a crazy man, what are you talking about?" And he says, "Call your bank manager." "No, you cannot do it." And he was in a normal clothes. The bank manager comes after asking whatever. The bank manager comes down and says, "What's the problem?" He says, "This man wants," it says, "give him what he wants. He owns the bank. He's our boss." He was so humble that the wealth did not change him, but he understood what he could do with his wealth, his wish. I remember seeing him after this incident, and he said, "The wealth should not ever blind you to the reality of your human." And this talk stayed with me from childhood. I was not more than 10, 11 years old. We wish, we get. But how we manipulate that wish, how we use it to be, is how we benefit the others, not ourselves. And this is how our wishes are command. If we wish it, sometimes we don't believe in ourselves in doing it, but we have to understand our wish has to be in a way that collectively benefits the others, not just for us. Any other question?
Okay, we do have a hand up with Azar, but before that, let's have one more question from our Q&A from Filippo, who says, "Good morning, Mr. Keshe. In the original reactor design, we sent the lighter elements to the center and the heavier elements outside. Is this due to the vacuum conditions inside the reactor, or because there are gas in the matter state?"
You haven't understood the science, have you? We work with the fields and not with the matter. I think I gave you the answer if you understood. Understand the work. You're still looking at matter state, and the bigger the better. And understand why you do it this way. Why you don't even go for an atom, you go for a plasma. If you understood the wisdom, you have cracked it. Otherwise, you keep on working with the matters and lighter in the middle and the heavy rods. In the matter state, you work with weight. In the world of creation, you work with energy. And energy is magnetic field in motion. The strength of the field. There is nothing more powerful. There is no plasma more powerful, energetic than the plasma of hydrogen. But as a man, you look at uranium and plutonium, because it's the plasma of the hydrogen which creates that plutonium, not the plutonium which creates hydrogen. And if you understand this in the true essence of creation, you have understood the true meaning of creation. And this is what is wrong with 99.99% of our scientists and the teaching we have in the present world of science. We always look bigger and more you put in. God created the universe from one atom. Man puts tons of uranium and so much pressure and so much thing to create a bit of energy. Any other question?
Thank you. I think it's time to hear from Azar. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Mr. Keshe, first I want to say when you said in the past the humanity was more intelligent, was less matter-oriented. Actually, when I dig in more deeper in the past, and I keep asking this question, that why, we could do in the past so many amazing things, why we gave it up? People came with the knowledge and kind of people ignored and went the other way. That was, I found that. But then my question is this, on knowledge seeker number 33, in the last part, there was a question that about Moses, and then you said it's a long answer. The more, Moses went up the mountain, and then the difference between him up the mountain and the difference between when he came down. So you said the messages was given him to his soul up the mountain. But when he came down, he dealt with the messages with the physicality. That's why they all got lost. And then you said with Jesus, with Muhammad, with Krishna, with Buddha, they all had the same thing. The messages were to the soul, but the physicality handled the messages. So that was wrong. That went wrong. So my question is, if God sent Moses and this happened, couldn't God see that this happens when he gives the message to the soul, and then physicality just doesn't deliver? And he repeat the same thing with Jesus and Muhammad and Krishna and Buddha. And then the other question is, how do you get your messages? Is it given to your soul? And then, or is it a different way that you are access to knowledge? You're giving us scientific knowledge. So what is the safety key even with you? What is going on here?
The safety case with us is that we have no fear of giving the knowledge. Because we know the knowledge always wins. We know that you look at the knowledge of the physical man, we look at the knowledge of creation and God. And so this is and this shall be. And you look at the knowledge, the guy is still, but once you enlighten the soul, it stays. And that's the difference. Even when we talk about the knowledge is not making things, it's the enlightenment of the emotion. That's the true knowledge, not the knowledge of reading and making things about it. In the universe, there's no university, but the enlightenment of the emotion. And that's what man does not understand. And now we try to understand how to change the emotion of the man through the existence of energies within the man. And that's why we create mayhem with you a lot.
Mr. Keshe, why is it that the suffering and pain brings so much wisdom, and that wisdom cannot be taken away from you. Why is it that normal
Because
people
we have to understand what is suffering, what you call suffering. Yeah, what you call suffering. And what do we sit on and what do we wait for? If you look, there are those who understand the figures, understand how to manipulate figures, dates, and things, the knowledge, and then they create suffering for the others. And they live and they sit by it because partially they understood the information of time and the knowledge and how to play with it. If you understand the whole game of, a lot of you hear about 9/11, we're coming to it in the next few days. Why 9/11? Who chose that day? The people who structured the 9/11 understood the effect of it on the emotion and control of the man. The same people have chosen 14th and 15th of 11. Walk around and understand the transfer of energy, your understanding of it, and shift of energy. There is a category of energy fields which, if by those who understood and those who play with the numbers and dates, believe in, bring the change which they want, they need. That time was 9/11. This time again falls in 11, but shifts by 2 or 3 days. Will it happen? Will they change? Otherwise, you have to wait for the other cycle, which they see right. You got to understand.
You mean, Mr. Keshe, this thing is supposed to happen this weekend, you mean?
Yes. There's a high possibility. There's a high possibility. Very, very high.
So they choose this date.
They choose a date according to what they read and how they manipulate and what they believe in. And if it happens, if it doesn't happen, then there is another date which is set for it. The number of days in the latter part of the this year, which matches with what they can change effectively the energy of the balance. The first one is this weekend. The same did 9/11. 9/11 was chosen was chosen because of the energies, and you see what change it brought.
But Mr. Keshe, there is another factor that they're not considering, because when they did the 9/11 or other numbers or other dates, in terms of planetary situations, things
No,
weren't the same.
they don't work. They don't work that way. You don't understand that energy. It doesn't work by planetary and the rest. You have to understand the bigger picture. If you look at the Jewish calendar, the Jews, when they make their calendar, they study all other religions. They study all the holidays, mourning of Christian Jews, Muslims, Hindus, Africans, and everything else. And then they maneuver their dates into it. That there's no other religion has the date they put for their function. Because they're the only energy which can affect what they want. This is how Jewish calendar has been done for centuries. Because they believe in those days it's only them who can celebrate. It's only what they call themselves the chosen one. Chosen to be the most murdering race on this planet. Chosen to be the worst on this planet. And they carry it out because they have to show we can. A lot of people, 7th of October, Yom Kippur War, 6th of October. The 7th of October was set by them, given to be that date, because they knew if they get that date done, they will be able to get rid of the Palestinians. It was all done by understanding this physicality of the work of the energies. Palestinians killed 2 or 3 Arabs, maybe. The rest was genocide by the Israeli forces.
But Mr. Keshe, when you listen, when I listen to the rabbis now and then the Christian priests, right now even if we have 40-something hundred congressmen in the Congress, they're mostly Christian, only few of them, they don't believe it. But then even Muslim the same way, like now they believe the last thing in the Bible that has to be done is to go to war with Iran and then get rid of them, and that's the last thing that Jesus would come. And then when you listen to Jews, they're talking about this is what they have to do, and then Messiah come. And then when you listen to Ayatollahs in Quran, they say this is the last thing we're gonna do, that Mehdi is gonna come. So they all have the same story about themselves, and I just don't understand what's going on in the book of God. They all talking about wars, and they justify it, and people go for it.
They don't need to justify it. You have to understand if you understand the greed of the man, you can play with the man. If you don't understand that, you cannot do. And these people work on the greed of the man. Unfortunately, where we sit is, or where I am as part of the Keshe Foundation and being continuously in part of contact with our other governments, the world leaders, and the other parts we do, we see a pattern being an outsider. You see a structure. Who does who and how they do just to be in power. Most of the people who come to power don't want to go out of power. It's because they know once they go out of power for the things they've done, they kill them. So they do anything, change anything, do any monkey business that they stay in power. Those who do the financial problem side to stay in power for the wealth of it, usually don't, they move on after a few years and they have no problem. Those who actually done a lot of harm won't let you change their position. They stay to the last breath. I was in my early 30s, successful businessman, and one of the ambassadors in London, I was in lunch with him, he said, I have a request from you from the president. I said, I'm a supplier, what can I do? He said, you know, you have a huge reputation in Africa. Young man, very young, you're very young, and you gain a lot of trust in what you do with Africans, African nations. So yes, but this is how it should be. He said, the president has sent me a special message. That's why we had lunch together. That's why I invited you for lunch. And that is, he wants you to mentor his son as the next president. I said, I'm too young to be a mentor. He says, you're already mentor another president in Asia, his son. And you brought him as a partner into your structure. The president asked me kindly if you accept to mentor. I said, I have to see the son. I met the boy in London, early 20s, very, very naive. And I said to the ambassador in another lunch, I said, this boy is so naive. He's been brought up in dreamland of girls, cars, and money. How can he run a nation? He says, that's why the president wants you to show him the world of finance, the world of business. I said, okay, I have no problem with it, but I hope I manage to change them. This president, few years later, a young boy walks to his office as president. I'm going to kill you today, or I'll give you 3 days to leave office, and you can take whatever you like. The president called me and says, what am I going to do? We trust your advice. I said, it's your decision. He said, but why can you bring my son to be the next president when this mayhem is over? I said, your son is not capable to be a president. He doesn't carry. He said, I leave the office. It's better to be alive. 3 days later, he left the office, he left the country. And I never saw the boy again. The same man who walked into office and gave him 3 days, he was given 3 days to leave his office years later because of the greed of power. And I said, it's amazing. I stayed alive to see 2 cycles of the same destiny, but the same anyway. He came to power and he left the power and he was opposed. And the funny thing is, this guy was given a chance to take whatever he likes. And he brought so much coal that it couldn't fit into the aircraft. And they had to leave it on the runway. The friend of mine sent me pictures, says, you remember how he came? He's gone the same way, but this time he couldn't take, because the other one was much cleverer. He took only diamonds, billions. This guy was so stupid, he only took gold and he couldn't put them on the load. It's the greed of the man. And what the power brings with the greed. And how people mix the greed with the power to kill that they think they are powerful to them. And we see that with the world leaders today. Most of the big world leaders stay in power because they're afraid that when they come down, they've done so much wrong that they won't give them a chance of the daylight the next day. We have one called from the Jewish side of Ukraine. He is afraid. He's killing the whole nation, destroying everything, because he knows nobody knows what they're going to do to him when he comes. He's asked for immunity even before his deposal is changed. And the problem is they have given him so much bribe that they're scared that he releases who's giving him what bribe, where. So they have to give him life or let it be as it is, because they're all still making money, whatever they're running with it. is a power. And the illusion of the, well, which did the same thing with Moses. We see the same thing with Ukrainian president, we see the same with the Prime Minister of Israel. Now we see the same thing with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Runs in the blood, killing, using the money for it, greed after money, losing the other ones to the same thing. Let's call it a day.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. We'll see if their philosophy works by their philosophy. They think, wait for another cycle till the philosophy matches. Thank you very much for today. Please, those of you who come in tomorrow, register today, whatever it needs to be done, that we can take up the sessions for no more than 9 o'clock Central European time. And it will be very amazing to see how we change you in tomorrow, how we understand about you and change it. Thank you very much. And I hope we'll see each other next week with the same piece of today. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Well, okay, that's some pretty powerful information, and hope that we'll all be back again next week. Indeed, this has been the 606th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 4th, 2025. And before we go, I have a thing from the Universal Council to show and put voice to, which is the Universal Council invites the Keshe family and the Universal family in unifying at the soul level every time and every day at 9 p.m. Central European Summertime, to elevate the soul of the leaders to achieve the permanent and lasting peace. So that work seems to be becoming more and more important as we go along. Let me see here. Okay, let's get back to my background. And I just wanted to say that our next public teaching workshop, if indeed we make it through the weekend, will be on Monday, on the 8th of September, which is the public meeting for testimonials. And that starts at 8 p.m. Central European time. And folks are invited to bring your experiences of the plasma technology, something that might have changed your life in some way. And it's a good place to kind of pay back for receiving this knowledge of the plasma technology. So again, that's the public meeting for testimonials on Monday the 8th, starting at the 8 p.m. Central European time. And the next teaching after that will be on Tuesday, the 9th, with our One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace, with members and support members of the Universal Council. That show will begin at 4 p.m. Central European time. Okay, I think that brings to a close our announcements and various things. And I think we've covered most of the questions. If there's one or two left over, just bring them through till next week. And thank you everyone for attending today's workshop. And we'll see you in the next public teaching workshop, perhaps, we expect. Okay, take care, everyone.